Well, hello, seventh graders. So this is how we're going to be doing art for our next few projects to the end of the school year, where I will be making some videos like this, just like we're in class, and going through a slide presentation as if we were in class and I was giving you examples and such. So we're still going to keep on doing the same idea that we were doing in school with seventh grade art, which is doing multicultural art projects. So we did our Mexican animals at the beginning of the year. We were working on our Adinkra class before we had our school closure. Hopefully we'll be picking that up. I'll leave those actually at school, and that will be actually our first project that we'll finish up in 8th grade next year. Is we'll actually finish doing that project because you guys really got a good start on that, and I want you guys to finish those. So I'll just hold on to those over the summer, and that will literally be our first project when we come back in the fall, okay? So this project you're going to be able to do with stuff that you just have at home, because obviously we don't have all the art material that we have at school that I can do, you know, these great projects with. So the materials that you're going to actually need to already have at your house, and we'll be going over the details of the project in a moment. So I'm going to start sharing my screen with you guys right now, and I'm going to talk about what your project's going to be. So this video that you have here is actually at the beginning of this slide presentation. I have it right in there, and then we're going to kind of be going through the rest of the slides during the project here. So what you're on right now, and we're going to be talking about a type of art that is from Poland. So these are traditional art projects or folk art that they have done over the last kind of 2 centuries, last 200 years in Poland. So let's take a look at these. And I'm going to try to pronounce how to say this. Wycinaki is that word that you see there, and then Kurpie is actually a region in Poland. So we'll be looking at this type of art, and there's 3 main types that we'll be looking at that they did in different regions of Poland. Unfortunately, I found this great art, but there's not actually a lot of videos that have been created explaining what it is and stuff. So I'm going to try to do that through these slides that you see here, okay? So to begin with, I hope we all know where Poland is. So Poland is part of Europe. It would have been part of the Eastern Bloc during communism and such. We know Poland, there was many concentration camps during World War II, and Poland has had a lot of strife and struggles in the area because it's kind of between the West and the East part of Europe. So you can see that it borders Germany up there. And the north part is actually on the Baltic Sea, the North Sea that you see up there. So we see Finland and Norway and Sweden, and then it's right across the river then, or right across the water is Poland. A pretty large actually country. If you look at it, it's about a little smaller than the area of France, one of the bigger countries in Europe. So we see Poland there. And on the right side of the screen right now, you're going to see what a traditional Polish house would have looked like 150, 200 years ago, okay? So the tradition of this artwork we're going to be talking about is the stuff that we're going to be looking at is artwork that they would have done in the springtime. So in the spring, they would have had all these beautiful celebrations as the spring season starts and the harvests are put in and animals are being born and all those great things that they would have, almost like our May Day celebrations that they would have throughout the month of May. And you see the beautiful traditional designs and clothing, the costumes that these girls are wearing for those May Day celebrations. And if you look really closely at the actual aprons they're wearing, you see some of this intricate design that we're going to see in their homes. So during springtime, we all know the expression of spring cleaning. And you know, here in America in the spring, we clean our houses more as we open up our houses for the winter. They would have had very cold climates there, very similar to us here in Wisconsin, that we'd have the cold winters where we kind of hibernate through the winter. And then springtime comes and we do all these great celebrations as we move into the spring, summer months. So what would happen besides these celebrations that they would be having is they would get their houses ready. So if we take a look at their houses, they would have had, let's go back up maybe to this slide. The houses would have been very simple, one huge room that they would have then just used that one big room for every part of their life, from their bedroom to their dining room to their living room to their kitchen in this one big area. And what they would do in the springtime, as they're cleaning out their house and doing all those spring cleanings, they would do what's called whitewashing their house. Is basically you paint your whole whole house inside white to kind of clean it up and get it all ready for the summer months. And in addition to that, then they would do these beautiful paper cutouts is how they would decorate these whitewashed walls. So if we take a look here, this is what we would maybe see in the springtime where they would do this whitewashing. And Poland is a Christian nation. Many of them are also Catholic. And you actually see these beautiful paper cutouts that are basically glued to the wall for the decorations for the spring celebrations, but then also all the way through the fall and through until the next year when they would do these beautiful artwork. Now, the actual tradition would have been, they would have been a lot of shepherds. They would have actually had a lot of sheep in this area. And what they would have done is they would have taken delicate paper and sometimes actually animal skin also, and they would use the scissors that they had available to them. Remember, they're shepherds, so they would actually have sheep shearing scissors. As you can see in this picture right here, the bottom middle, that's scissors for taking off the wool of sheep. And they would use these really huge scissors if you look at it, and they start to do this amazing delicate work. You see the lady in this picture is actually cutting out these intricate designs of these Polish paper cutouts that they would make out of colorful paper that you would have decorated then the houses with. Now, I'm not going to go through this whole video, but I do want you to watch this video here, and it's about a 6-minute video that I've actually chopped down to about the first 2.5 minutes. And this is just examples of the 3 different kinds of artwork that they would have done, this traditional paper cutouts in the different Polish regions, okay? One of the types of art that they do are these star paper cutouts. They almost look like paper snowflakes, very similar, but as you can see, way more design and delicacy to them. So this is one of the traditional type of Polish paper cutouts is these beautiful star designs. The other ones that they have are artwork that is specific to kind of the region and the things that they are celebrating. So the land and the people and the plants and the crops and stuff like that. And as you can see, all of this is very symmetrical. So it's actually a piece of paper that's folded in half, and they make the design on one side and cut it out. And then as you open it up, you actually have a symmetrical design there. This is what our art project is going to be. We're going to actually be doing 2 of these paper cutouts, one over the next couple weeks, and then following up the 3rd and 4th week, we'll actually be going back and doing these star designs also, okay? So we're gonna actually do 2 separate Polish projects with these paper cutouts. So those are the true traditional ones, but some of the artwork that they would do is actually combining these 2 things, that circle and that symmetrical, and then adding beautiful pieces of colored paper on top of the design. So if you look at these are all just smaller and smaller pieces of paper that they then put over that main design to create these beautiful, colorful artworks. And if we actually go back up to this picture here, we actually see those all hung up around this house. And then over here, we see those other more traditional ones where it's just one solid color piece of paper that's folded in half, or the stars, okay? So what we're going to be doing then is you guys are going to actually be working on more of this idea for our first project. Again, we have those beautiful layered things, and we have those stars that are actually layered on top of it too. I'm not going to be expecting you guys to do these at all, because these are very delicate. A lot of work that goes into these. As you could see, that woman in this picture, all the beautiful, delicate designs they're going to be doing, okay? So the project itself is, directions are on this slide here, okay? So just a reminder, I don't have tons of examples. We're not at class, so I don't have examples that I can just give you besides a couple that I have on the slide. So you are allowed to do a Google image search, and you can see how it's spelled there, that you can type that into a Google image search and look through some of the different traditional cutouts and what they include in it. So some of the traditional things that they have are trees and flowers and birds and roosters and other animals that they would see in the countryside, and then sometimes men and women in the projects too. So you can go take some, go do some Google image searches and see some ideas. Now you can't, of course, just copy straight an idea that's already out there that someone's done, but they can give you inspiration for some different ideas, and maybe taking 7 or 8 of them and combining them into your own creative artwork, okay? So what you're gonna need for your design and for this art project is just a normal piece of copy paper. So you're gonna take a normal piece of copy paper and you're gonna fold it in half the long way, okay? And in a moment, I'm gonna actually do a whole nother video that will help to give you directions on how the project will actually be. But as you can see right here are their directions that you guys can read through, and I hope most of this is pretty self-explanatory, but I will be doing an actual demonstration just like we were in class, helping you to understand how you're gonna do the design. And we have this next slide here to help you with some of those things. So here we see on the left side is this exact picture that the person folded the paper in half and drew their design with that main tree in the middle. Because if we go back up to our directions here, you need to have the traditional objects and designs reflecting the countryside. Before that, on number 3, you need to have a tree or a plant as the central object using those traditional fringe designs on this next slide. So we can see on here, we have that tree kind of in the middle, and here's this idea of the leaves, and there's maybe 4 different ideas that you can do for the fringes here. And please go ahead and just use those ideas around. You see this one is a little bit different too, that you can add that. And just like I said, those roosters and the plants and the other stuff that we would see on it. But notice again, we're folding the piece of paper in half and drawing our design and then cutting it out from there, okay? So if we were to take these 6 designs here and fold them in half, this is what, you know, your outline of your design would be. Now that second one there is crazy complicated. A lot of details on that. Same thing with the third one. A lot of these are very complicated. But again, it gives you ideas of what is expected of you. I do not expect all those hearts and all that, but if you can see how they did the men and the women on either side, how they do the roosters, how they show kind of the different plants and the trees, and then some of that lace work inside of it, okay? So this is gonna be your project for basically almost the next month, okay? Probably through the middle of May, that we're gonna be doing first for the next 2 weeks. We're gonna be doing this project here where this week you are going to draw your design and figure out what your design is going to be. That is going to take a class period as if we were in class, so around 45 minutes. And then the following week, next week, you are going to cut it out, okay? And take a picture of it, and that will be how you're going to be turning in your art project for this. You're, of course, allowed to do more than one and just show me the best one. Or if you're really enjoying it, you know, you can do more, of course. But this is going to be your project then for the next 2 weeks. Again, this week, you will draw it on your copy piece of paper just from your printer. And then the following week, you will cut it out. Now, if you happen to have in your house construction paper or other color paper, maybe you have colored copy paper in your house, I actually encourage you guys to use that, because that would have been more of the tradition, is the colorful pieces of paper, okay? But I'm pretty sure all of us minimally have a pencil in our house and at least one blank white sheet of paper, okay, that you will be doing your art project with, okay? So hopefully this makes some sense. I will be showing one more video at the end of this slide presentation that gives you kind of the step-by-step reminders of what you need to do to be drawing your project. So that is going to be our art project for our multicultural. We will maybe have one final art project at the very end of May, talking about Japanese art, depending on kind of how the school year ends out and things like that. So that is your introductory video on, let's see if I can say it again, the Wycinaki, which is this type of Polish paper cutouts. So hopefully this has made some sense for you guys, 7th graders. And if you have questions, of course, private message me on this assignment. So I'll be sharing this assignment. Obviously, you've already seen it on Classworks, and then just private message me, or we can talk through a video chat if you need more help on what's going to be happening. But there is one final video at the end of this to kind of help you go through the steps of what you need to do for your project, okay? So that is your art project that we'll be starting on this week.